This presentation will discuss how to accept feedback, criticism, and praise. Constructive criticism is a valuable tool in raising and maintaining performance standards. It is the process of offering valid and well-reasoned opinions about the work of others. This feedback could include positive or negative comments, but tends to be delivered in a friendly manner rather than an oppositional one. By Winston Churchill's definition, criticism may not be agreeable, but it is necessary. It fulfills the same function as pain in the human body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. Put simply, criticism may be difficult for someone to receive, but it brings attention to areas of improvement and helps to begin the process of growth, development, or necessary change. Remember, along with making sure things operate smoothly, the majority of supervisors want to see you succeed. Part of this is pointing out areas for growth and development to help you enhance your skills. Keep in mind, supervisors often have the benefit of years of experience and knowledge that can provide you with quality feedback and advice. Here's an example of constructive criticism expressed between two coworkers. Speaking to Tim, Steve says, "This video you finished looks great. Could I just give some advice?" Tim replies, "Sure." Steve says, "You should cut this one clip a little short. It goes on too long and gets boring." After Tim works on the video, he shows Steve the finished product. Tim says, "Done. Yeah, it definitely looks smoother now. Thanks for the tip." Steve simply replies with, "No problem." In this dialogue, notice that Steve offered advice after politely asking if Tim was open to receiving suggestions. In offering feedback, Steve complimented Tim's work before critiquing it. Steve's delivery was appropriate, and he didn't insult Tim. His only intention was to help Tim improve his work. Now here's an example of how this conversation between Steve and Tim could have gone wrong. Steve says, "This video is okay, but you should fix up the one part where the guy talks at the beginning. It looks kind of dumb and pointless." Tim replies, "What do you mean?" "I don't know, something about it looks stupid. Just take my advice and do something different with it." Tim replies, "It's fine the way it is. Just let me work." In this example, Steve's tone and delivery is harsh and without regard to how Tim may receive him calling his work dumb and pointless. Steve does not provide useful advice. He instead insults Tim's work, which doesn't allow Tim to accept the feedback that he provides. Overall, this is a clear example of non-constructive criticism. Here's some indicators to help you further identify constructive versus non-constructive criticism. When providing or receiving constructive criticism, the intention should be to educate instead of insult or embarrass someone. It should be work-related and contribute to enhancing an idea instead of feeling like a personal attack or that your idea is being disregarded. The feedback should seek to create a better outcome without making someone feel worse about themselves or their work. Constructive criticism is well thought out and calculated and should not feel hurried or delivered at random. The intention should be to simply offer assistance without any attempt to take over one's work. It can be extremely difficult to separate out the content of the feedback from the way in which the feedback is delivered. For example, an intern who receives feedback during a one-on-one meeting may have a much easier time accepting the criticism than receiving the exact same feedback in front of an entire organization. This may leave them feeling embarrassed or even more upset. It may take time, but in moments where this is the case, it's important to do your best to separate the content from the delivery. Typically, supervisors will be professional and appropriate when delivering constructive criticism. However, there may be times when the supervisor's emotions seep into their remarks. If that happens, the most important thing to do is remain calm. In moments where feelings of anger or frustration are directed towards you, remember to avoid matching that person's energy or emotions. Staying calm and rational is the best way to diffuse the situation and gain the most from that experience. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath or count to 10 if necessary. Reacting negatively or emotionally generally makes the situation worse. To process the feedback, first you need to determine exactly what the content of the message was and make sure you understand it. Try to move past feeling defensive in order to genuinely analyze the feedback. Sometimes we feel most offensive and dismissive when we know in the back of our minds that there is a legitimate basis for that criticism. Be honest with yourself. This is a hard lesson to learn, and it's okay if it takes practice to learn to accept constructive criticism. Once you've moved past the defensiveness, you can consider whether the criticism was justified and to what extent. Remember that even if you don't think of the feedback as accurate, you shouldn't automatically dismiss all of it. If you do find that there's any basis whatsoever for the criticism, use the feedback to figure out how you can improve. If you determine that the person was off base in their critique, you can still look for things to learn from that situation. Be sure to address the underlying issue, not the manner in which the issue has been raised. If you feel that the criticism should have been delivered in a different way, address it at a different time, but not until the current situation has concluded and you have time to analyze and apply the content of the feedback. Inevitably, some criticism will really get to you. Some criticism actually is personal, and it often feels personal even if it's not. You don't need to completely ignore your feelings about it, as long as you don't let them take over the situation in which you're responding to that feedback. Acknowledging how you feel can often help you process the feedback. Some criticism may have a large impact on you. Consider why. If you're feeling particularly upset over a piece of feedback, consider why it's affecting you so much. Does it tap into something that you're already insecure about? Does it make you question whether your best is good enough? Does it remind you about something you know you need to work on or didn't do your best on? Sometimes this type of emotional analysis can actually lead you back to a rational solution of how to use the criticism to improve. However, don't let it bring you to a standstill, define who you are, or make you feel bad about yourself or lower your self-esteem. It may help to remember that nobody is perfect. We're all wrong sometimes, and we all have room for improvement. In order to keep improving, we have to hold each other accountable and help each other get better. It's hard to be on the receiving end of suggestions for those improvements, but it's something that's common to every single person. Preparing yourself now is important in order to receive valuable feedback more fully. Not only will it alleviate some of the initial shock, but it will also help you learn, for instance, how to take a supervisor's feedback in the nature of which it was intended and adapt and learn from it more quickly. Remember, it's difficult to improve without understanding where you went wrong and what can be better. So feedback is important for growth. If your supervisor gives feedback orally, take notes and keep track of these notes so you can refer back to them and keep up with your progress on making changes. Retaining this information is important in order to avoid making a similar mistake in the future, so really listen to the feedback that you're given. If you do not fully understand the criticism you have received, ask for clarification. If you ignore the criticism, you will probably go on making the same mistakes, so be sure you have a clear understanding about the changes needed for you to be successful. The solution may be readily apparent, or may require some collaboration with your supervisor or other colleagues, so don't hesitate to ask for help and use resources. Put a solution in motion immediately. There is no point in your supervisor providing feedback if it does not result in a change. Remember to keep the solution in mind as you move forward and allow it to influence and motivate the rest of your work. Most of the time, your supervisor and colleagues will want to praise you for your good work you've done, so accept it. For many people, it's challenging to accept a compliment and respond gracefully. You may feel tempted to respond by downplaying your work and saying something like, "Thanks, but I really didn't do much." Responding in this manner can make the person giving you praise feel rejected. You should instead smile and express appreciation with a simple thank you, or with saying something like, "Thank you, I really enjoyed working on this project." It's not immodest to acknowledge satisfaction with great work. Showing your excitement about your work shows your supervisor and others your determination and commitment. You should feel confident about expressing how proud you are of your work. On the other hand, praise of good work can warrant some well-deserved basking, but you don't want to wallow in it for too long. Keep it simple. Maintain a healthy level of self-esteem and be aware of how praise of your own work could affect those around you. You want your teammates and others to be comfortable with working with you in the future and not feel cautioned against feeding your ego in an unhealthy manner. Without denying your contribution, share the praise if it is a team effort. Tell your colleagues, supervisors, and others around you how their assistance and guidance helped you complete the project. This includes those who may have reviewed your work and simply provided feedback. Share the credit by saying something like, "Your guidance with the project made such a difference," or "We really did a great job on this project." Your teammates will appreciate your sincere words and honest opinions about how they assisted you in the project. In addition to expressing your appreciation to each teammate, be sure to acknowledge their work publicly when receiving praise, especially if your supervisor compliments your work in a one-on-one meeting. Let him or her know that it was a team effort. Sharing the credit publicly or to your supervisor will help to build team morale and allow your teammates to see that their work has meaning. It helps in building trust and also demonstrates your commitment to being a team player. For additional help, set up an appointment today through Handshake or reach us by phone or email. Remember, we are here to help you make career-related decisions, develop your skills to achieve your goals, and connect you to opportunities. So visit us anytime on Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m.
Please come visit us in our new location in the Mastro Tony Student Success Commons located in the Gracefully Library.